Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founders Grid, sponsored by Caper.io. Today we have Rob. Rob is the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder at Blackdragon. Rob, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So, give us a brief background about yourself before co-founding Blackdragon.
So it's a long past, but essentially, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Started my first business at 9. Went into the military, flew for the Navy, and eventually ended up in the government in contracting. And I worked my way through government, number of intelligence agencies. Eventually ended up being a COO for a mid-sized defense firm, which led into a position with Congress where I was a congressional fellow in Congress, where I advised on things like the National Defense Authorization Act and things like that. I did that for about 15 months. That was from 2014 to 15, and I had this epiphany of Blackdragon, the concept of it, and we launched in 2015.
Interesting. And how's the journey been so far? It's been 5 years now. So let's decipher the journey a bit. What were the first 2 years like, and what are the next 3 years? 2 years
So
like.
the first
We'll discuss the COVID.
COVID, yeah. So let me see if I can back up. So in January of 2015, the whole concept of gig economy in the federal contracting space was still really misunderstood or not even known in many ways because it's not a prevalent model. So Blackdragon, our company, is probably the first and the premier gig economy mutual marketplace where it matches up talent to opportunities. So it's very much a live and vibrant gig economy. But it took a while to get that sort of launched and hosted. But in 5 years, we've gone from just an idea and our own technology to we are now the largest and fastest growing bid and proposal company in the federal industry, possibly the planet. But that transition has been long, and the adoption phase is probably just now coming around.
Interesting. So just trying to keep the conversation relevant to COVID, due to COVID, it has acted as a catalyst for multiple businesses, Zoom being one prime example, right? While
Sure.
it have affected the many, so how has COVID affected Blackdragon?
So it's a great question. There's probably not one answer, but I will say one thing that we played or noticed that was a strength of ours is COVID, in my opinion, was a rapid transition across many economies, many industries. It was a transition from an in-person workforce with geographical boundaries and physical bricks and mortar locations that put us really rapidly into a virtual workforce. And I believe there was a perception that when we went to this virtual, undefined terms and undefined length, we thought that productivity was going to fall. But what happened was technology was solid enough, Zoom being an example, and very connected in our phones. The productivity didn't fall near as much as I think as many industries expected. In Blackdragon's case, we're 100% virtual anyway. We like to joke around and say we were virtual before virtual was cool. So we formed these autonomous, custom designed dream teams of experts electronically within minutes or hours, and they can fulfill an entire project completely virtually. And they don't need to be local. They don't need to be in your time zone. They don't even have to drive the commute around the Beltway. They can be instantaneously available.
Interesting.
This actually played to our strengths, and it was to the weaknesses of our clients.
True. But what about the receptiveness or those kind of things? Was the government open towards it? Were they receptive towards it?
So in our model, Blackdragon does not actually perform the contracts that we win. We're simply a winning service. And as a matter of fact, we trademarked it. Winning as a service belongs to us. So what our job is if you can picture a TV show, I'm just dreaming this up, but there have been some, where an expert consultant tells a politician, if you do everything I tell you to do, we'll increase your chances of getting elected. Wear the right tie, go to the right places, shake the right hand. If you follow our guidance, we'll help you become elected. Well, in Blackdragon context, we basically go in on behalf of the bidder, kind of like a ghostwriter for a book, but we do everything it takes for our client to win. It's still their paper, their logo, their name, their attributes, their credentials, but we basically make them more powerful and more competitive by doing the winning for them. And we share the risk, so we have to win to get our full fee. So we're not wasting our time, we don't bill by the hour, and we don't take clients that we don't believe in.
Got it. All right. Interesting. Interesting. And how's the experience been? Because of COVID, mental health has been a big concern for everyone. Being the CEO, most of the CEOs are extroverts. They get the energy through people, driving them all the time. But now you're sitting in front of the Zoom and like, hey, is the lighting okay? Is the internet working? Hey, son, be quiet. So how's the
Exactly.
experience been, and how, especially looking after the mental health of your team, how you've been able to do that?
I think, I think we fared just as well as a lot of others. To be frank, many of the freelancers that work with Blackdragon were already freelancers anyway. So by basically shifting to virtual, it wasn't a shift for us. It was kind of business as normal for us. So we were already accustomed to operating that way. Now, what has changed is my ability to get in my car and go spend time with my client in their office. That was something I did every day, meeting with CEOs, business leaders, leadership of government. When they basically started blocking people from coming to their offices, it became necessary to only do Zoom calls. There's only so many Zoom calls you can do in a day. There's only so many texts that people can respond to. So it did have a disruption effect on us because our clients were not accustomed to operating this way. Although we were, they were not. So we've had to make some adjustments. But I think over time, it's getting a rhythm. So we're catching back up.
Okay. Last question, Rob, because my marketing team tells me I need to keep them within 12 minutes, but I'm really enjoying the conversation, but I have to follow the time. So, the gig economy and the federal government, do you see this trend to continue, and do you see the federal contracting becoming more and more receptive towards even remote uh, engineers or remote teams that are not even based in North America?
I believe that that's so. And go back to what I said earlier. We don't perform the contracts. So the contracts that are won still have to have solutions. In many of those cases, they're human. So those humans have to do the work. I do believe the government is making new accommodations for that work to be done differently than it was before, i.e., drive to a building on a military base, sit in a chair with your coat on the back of it. I believe the government has become more relaxed and more accommodating to how that work is going to get fulfilled. However, there will be many government requirements that have to require that because of the classification of the system itself. It can't go on your laptop at home. It's not on your phone. So that need is never going to really go away completely. However, I do believe the government's adjusting. They are making new accommodations. So when we win a contract on behalf of, say, a large defense contractor, a top 10 defense contractor, how they actually fulfill the duties and those tasks, yes, they are changing. I would say it's slower because of the nature of the business. However, from a Blackdragon standpoint, it's not impacting us at all. We can win just as well and just as effectively as we ever could.
Okay. Rob, thank you so much for being on the show. Take care of yourself. Stay safe, and all the best with Blackdragon. And hopefully, we'll keep on hearing amazing news from you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being here.